It is being called the trial of the decade. Opening statements of the Aurora theater shooting trial starting just 2 hours. All eyes watching. You can see several media outlets camped outside the Justice Center, some bringing RVs and tents. And soon they'll all pack the courtroom and what will begin 4 months of emotional testimony outlining that night nearly 3 years ago when 12 people died inside the Century 16 theater at the hands of one gunman. 7 News reporter Tyler Lopez at the Justice Center this morning. And there are many resources for everyone, Tyler, in the community to cope with what they'll endure, what they'll see during this trial.
A lot of that, Mitch, because much of this case has been sealed for so long. We do expect to get new details into the case this week. Starting today, this will be a life or death battle in the courtroom, and we got some insight into how it will start. Earlier this morning, my colleague Marshall Zellinger was in the courtroom and described a model roughly 3 by 5 feet in front of the judge. We're wondering if that's the theater itself. There are signs on the backs of the chairs in the courtroom, too, warning people that if there's an emotional outburst, they'll be asked to leave. That's the kind of emotion we expect to see on display today. That's the kind of emotion mental health professionals say to watch out for in your own life and those around you as well. But it's important to note that Aurora does have coordinated help available now. And one place to consider whether you're directly involved in this case or not is the Aurora Strong Resilience Center. It's near 13th and Peoria. The psychologist there from Aurora Mental Health Center says that survivors from both the theater shooting and the Columbine tragedies often meet there, sharing tactics and coping techniques as well that have worked for them. In under 2 years, some 11,000 people have used this former library to relax, take, or even teach a class like yoga or Tai Chi. One theater shooting survivor gives free massages. All the service is free, and they do expect an increase in use now that the trial has finally reached opening statements.
So I don't know that a great sense of closure will happen for people necessarily, but everyone's reaction to the trial will be very individual as well. I think however people react to this trial happening will be normal.
And that's why she says it's so important to try to keep your preschool or pre-work, post-work, post-school routines in place. Try to keep your sleep schedule as normal as possible because there is no right or wrong way to react, given the testimony we expect to hear over the next few months, Mitch.
Absolutely. Well, Tyler, many tragedies like the Aurora theater shooting, you know, they stay with us. We remember where we were, what was going on when this happened. For a lot of people, I remember from the Oklahoma City bombing, some people will want to watch every ounce of this trial, and others will not want to see it at all. There's no really right or wrong way to process all this, Tyler, but it is certainly something where we all remember, if we live in Colorado, where we were the day that happened.
No doubt about it. I ended up at Gateway High School, Mitch, early before the sun came up, and I met a young couple. They were in the theater, and you could see on their face they were conflicted. They were happy to be alive and together, but there was some survivor's remorse. They felt like they wished they could have done more, and we saw that same look of emotion on faces throughout the day. And the lasting memory that I remember at Gateway High School was Tom Sullivan showing up with a poster of his son asking if we knew where Alex Sullivan was. We directed him inside the gym where police had an information center established. We would later learn that Alex was one of the 12 people killed.
Yeah, and whether it's good or bad, we've had other tragedies across Colorado where those people can step forward and help these people here in this situation help with their wounds. So thank you, Tyler. Well, 7 News bringing you an in-depth look at the 24 jurors, also the alternates, 12 jurors, 12 alternates. You can see here from the Aurora theater trial. This is a tool to put together on our website, thedenverchannel.com. Let you go through and get a snapshot of each person. So we can just try a couple here. Like number 18, you can see is actually juror number 706, a Caucasian woman, a retired Army ICU nurse in her 70s or 80s. Let's try juror 2, for example. You can see that's actually juror number 17, also a Caucasian woman, an attorney who has said the death penalty should be rarely used, and middle-aged. You can go through each one of these yourselves, and you can see and learn more about the lawyers, the jurors, everyone involved in this case. Now, this trial expected to last 4 months, starting with today's opening statements. We know the jury will hear disturbing 911 calls. They'll be shown some pretty graphic images from that day. They'll also be told where each victim was sitting when they were killed or injured in that theater. The jurors heard that same information during the preliminary hearing back in January 2013, and we'll hear the results of 2 court-ordered psychiatric exams for the first time.
It's not about who did the shooting. It's not about how much people have suffered. It's about whether James Holmes knew the difference between right and wrong at the time he was in the theater doing these horrendous things.
Well, as many as 400 people inside that theater at the time of the shooting. Thousands impacted, though, including of course, family, police, firefighters, ER, doctors. It's not clear how many witnesses attorneys will call to the stand. Many wonder what would happen if Holmes is found not guilty by reason of insanity. If that's the case, he'll go to the state hospital where doctors will monitor him. In fact, a patient's treatment has little to do with their crime. Our partners at the Denver Post report 6 out of 10 killers who were found not guilty by reason of insanity were allowed to leave the state mental hospital after doctors deemed them safe. Now, patients can also earn off-ground privileges to work or go to college in less than 2 years. The shooting had a huge ripple effect on just how theaters here in Denver, not only here, but across the country, how they operate nowadays. The Aurora movie theater reopening 6 months after the shootings. It went through a redesign. It changed its name. Some praising that decision. Others say they'd like to have seen that building torn down, a memorial put in its place. Theaters across the country banning costumes now, masks, for fear of any kind of copycat crime. Others put employees through active shooter training. Well, our 7 News team hard at work for months here to bring you the live coverage. Today's opening statements. Our coverage will start at noon right here on 7 News, a little less than an hour. We expect lawyers to start around 1 today. The defense, the prosecution have 1 hour each to present those opening statements. You can watch the entire trial. We'll have it streaming live right to your smartphone, right to your laptop, your tablet, if you're using that free 7 News app.